Using artificial intelligence tools to listen in on public meetings is a growing trend across the country. Journalists in Maine and Michigan have used AI to summarize school board meetings and to find story leads. A local think tank is now trying out a tool in Hawaii that they hope will increase transparency. Joe Kent is the executive vice president of the Grassroot Institute. He created the Open Hearings tool after he felt he was wasting time and money to hire interns to monitor meetings. The tool tracks 26 government bodies in Hawaii, from county councils to neighborhood boards. Kent spoke with the Conversation's Maddie Bender about the new AI tool.
I remember sitting in a long government hearing on Maui, and they passed a tax hike. It was like at midnight. And I was like, there's got to be a better way to do this. So we hired some programmers and made this tool that plugs in and listens to government hearings and automatically transcribes them and summarizes them so we can know what happened quickly. And it emails us too every morning. Says, here's what happened yesterday in the government hearings. Now, of course, I know it was written by AI, so I can click on the hearing and check it to see what was real. And it also allows me to chat with it as well. I can ask, at what time code did the major vote occur? Or was there anything embarrassing that happened in this hearing? Or what did testifiers think of the proposal? It's just been a really neat and unique way for me to know what's going on. And I thought, well, gee, maybe this is be useful for other people.
Was this something that was trained on Hawaii-specific data? Or are we taking kind of your run-of-the-mill large language model and saying, here, let's look at Hawaii's meetings specifically?
It's not trained or tailored to Hawaii. It's just the base whatever model there is. I mean, transcription models just transcribe. And so, if somebody says a word, there's no regional training required except for maybe an accent. Now, in Hawaii, though, we know that even like human beings get Hawaiian words wrong all the time. And so I'm able to list Hawaiian words or any words to make sure that it gets, for example, lawmakers' names correct, or Hawaiian phrases that are said often correct, like aloha, for example. So I am able to steer it a little bit, but pretty much we keep hands off and let it be neutral.
I will say that I was looking at a recent neighborhood board meeting and the AI-generated summary that your tool produced, and it spelled Koki frog, K-O-K-I, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
But that's one example kind of on the less problematic end. But it also spelled one of the speakers' names wrong. And so then you start to maybe get into the territory where you need to think critically about the issues that these AI-generated summaries have. I wonder what your position is on that.
So I think that there always should be a human being involved somewhere in the process. So like right now, I'm just using it for myself, and I know that these are flawed AI tools. And if I want to understand, what happened in the government hearing, I can click on the time code at which it occurred and see for myself. But the AI summary kind of gets you most of the way there. In the same way that a YouTube transcription is often garbled or wrong, or they make a mistake, or someone hiccups, or two people talk at the same time or something. And so there's kind of understanding, at least with transcriptions, people are kind of giving it a pass. Now, I don't want to make this the news or anything, but I think in the future, 10 years from now, these types of technologies are going to improve vastly. And people might be getting more of their news from computer sources. So,
what do you think people in Hawaii could glean from a tool like this, and why do you feel like transparency when it comes to government meetings, neighborhood board meetings, that's the perfect place for quote unquote AI disruption?
Well, if you look at the counties, for example, there's a lot of government hearings that are not covered. A lot of people have no idea what's going on in the government. And the problem with that is that allows lawmakers to operate in relative obscurity on many things. My hope is that there can be more transparency about what's going on in the government and more people basically watching, and that will create a pressure on lawmakers to act more responsibly. There's an old saying that sunshine is the best disinfectant. And so the more people we have watching the government, the better.
I could see a critic of this approach saying, why spend the money to hire a programmer to assimilate all these AI tools to summarize meetings when you could hire more journalists to do that? So what would your response be?
Well, my response is there are journalists right now who are using the tool in Hawaii. We've given it just to random journalists, just for fun or for beta testing, I guess. And they're finding it very useful in the same way that somebody might go to YouTube and check out the transcription there. It just helps them get to the heart of the meeting a lot quicker. Now, those articles are not being written by AI. They're being written by the journalist who has to still do a lot of work to compile all of the research and interview people after the fact. But at least if they can get a quicker handle on the meeting, then they can be quicker at writing the story.
Can you share who those journalists are?
No, that's private information right now. I wouldn't want to disclose that. But we would like to make it available for all journalists, of course, who, if anyone wants to use it, they can sign up at openhearings.com.
This tool exists as a website that anyone can go to. And what was your philosophy there of like putting something kind of in the beta test phase out into the world, and whether you see the benefit outweighing any potential costs when it comes to AI hallucination or misinformation or what have you?
Well, we basically wanted to try it out as an experiment to see what happens. If nobody wants to use it, if there are problems, then we're happy to just pull back and close the door. So it's a door we can walk through and walk back out of and shut down if we need to. But basically, we'd like to get data on whether this is interesting or it's going to lead somewhere and whether it actually does produce some good. Now, I know that there are some hesitation with AI, but there's already a lot of people using AI every day with Google, for example. If you Google anything, there's an AI generated summary that pops up. Oftentimes, if you look at videos and things like that, there's an AI generated summary. There's already a lot of Zoom apps that summarize meetings. And this is just doing the same thing for the government.
Do you have any examples of a time that it's been useful for you in your own research?
Yeah, so for us, I have it programmed to send me an email every morning. And that email tells me a little summary of what happened, headlines, basically. And so then I can click on the headline and see. And one time I clicked on a headline that talked about a food truck ban that they were doing on the island of Maui. And so we were able to dig into that more and address that from a policy standpoint. My think tank, the Grassroots Institute, helped to reduce those regulations to allow food trucks to operate. And so for us, that was a win because otherwise it would be more difficult to find that information. Now, the news did cover that, but it's a few days late, might be 3 or 4 days late. But this is basically right when it happens. So we're able to just respond quicker. And time is really important in the policy world. So,
any advice you might give users of this or reminders, whether it's keep your thinking cap on, know the ins and outs of these models before you rely on them to tell you what you need to know?
Yes, well, every part of the transcript has a time code, and it encourages you to click to see where in the video someone said something. So always double check with AI. Even ChatGPT or Claude or Gemini, they have disclaimers all over their models that say, check for important information because, of course, you never know what's going to spit out. The same is true, by the way, with any journalist. Anything you read in the news, you should check as well. Don't just blindly follow either people or robots.
Civil Beat also has some AI tools that they're introducing to try to boost transparency as the legislative session begins. But in your mind, what do you hope the effect would be on lawmakers or on the general public and how they interact with our representatives?
Well, yes, Civil Beat is also releasing an AI tool that does some transcription of the government. And that's great as far as I can say. The more of us, the better, because at the end of the day, like I said, the more people watching what the government is doing, the more pressure that we put on lawmakers as a public to hold them accountable. And I think that we're in the dinosaur phase. One day we're going to look back at this and laugh at how rudimentary this all is. And in the future, this is going to get a lot smarter. But I also predict that humans will always be involved in the process of vetting information, especially journalists, because you just always need a human mind in the process, I think. So this is more of a hammer rather than a replacement.
That was Grassroot Institute's Joe Kent talking with HPR's Maddie Bender. The Institute's new AI tool is called Open Hearings. Learn more at our website after the show.